This is Apostle Lisa Grace. Welcome to my world. Well, hello, this is Apostle Lisa Grace, and welcome to my world. As you know, we are here doing our prayer and meditation, but today we want you to meditate on something very, very different. But yet, it is going to be very important to your life and what's to come in the future. So, we always do our prophetic phrase, all right? Well, and our prophetic meditating phrase. Every month, every week, we have a new phrase, right? So, I am so excited to be here, and I'm excited you're here. I'm excited to be in your world, and I'm excited on what's about to take place on today, and you're going to be able to either be excited today and have something that's very important for you to meditate on and to think about and to pray on, okay? So, again, I am going to, I'm excited. I'm just so excited and what your life is about to become. And be ready. Now, listen to this. Evolution fails until we confront ourselves and the need to change. Let me read that again. Evolution fails until we confront ourselves and the need to change. That's something really good to meditate on, isn't it now? I am reading this from The New Being, Preparing for the Emergence of a New Humanity by Dr. Joel Bryant. And he's my guest who wrote this book. Yes, look at it and know to buy it. Go and support it. And he's here as a guest to talk about what he has written. We're excited to have you here. And what I would like for you to do at the moment is to look at our beautiful people in your beautiful world, into their beautiful world, and or in their world, I like to call it, and just begin to share a little bit about you. And we'll just...
Well, I'm a former corporate trainer. I did that for some years. Got burnt out on that, and so I left that to follow my real passion, which was to be a writer. And so I quit my job actually 20 years ago this month, when I was living here in Greensboro, and quit, wrote, ended up homeless, sleeping in the car, evicted from my place, just the typical transitions that you go through when you don't have resources, but you learn to be resourceful. So I kind of transitioned from that to going to school, get some education, and became a university lecturer. And got a little bit of an education, and I've been writing for the last 25 or 30 years. And this book is a culmination of a lifetime of work. I actually thought about this book for about 30 years before I wrote it. I spent 30 years thinking about it, meditating on it, researching, and it came to me about 3 years ago. And it took me 3 years to write it, so I just finished it back in August. It'll be out in January, but you can pre-order now on the website that we'll give you at some time in this broadcast. Okay. So that's the short story. That's the short story.
Wow, well, what a story, because we had just read about evolution and how if we don't evolve, we fail to evolve, we fail to change. We really do. And he looked at his evolution and he took his circumstances and didn't use that as a fail to not to change, but to use it as a boost, I like to say, encouraging himself to make a change in his life. And so it's good to see that this is a true statement So that tells you this book is something you really want to get, because it's some Bible keys and tools in here that will help us. And that, believe it or not, what best to learn from someone who's evolved. Okay, so.
And still evolving.
It's still evolving,
Evolution
absolutely.
is not something, evolution is a state of being. There's no goal. The goal is simply to get better at being better.
Wow.
You know, it's not about getting there, because there is no there. You know, there happens when you leave this dimension of color. There happens when you die. But until you die, you're always evolving. You know, you're always progressing. You can't stand still. So you either progress or you're digressing.
Absolutely.
And once you recognize that, then you take responsibility for the direction of your life.
Well, so therefore, even in our conditioned situations, we always feel we have to wait to come out of that condition to make changes. You know, what you like to say, you progress and process through that as far as the condition. And because a lot of people have dreams and ideas and goals, but they always look at their conditions, and it causes them to get stagnated or stop or make excuses, or I'll do it afterwards when it gets better.
Right.
And which is part of the evolving, but why not do it while you're evolving? You know, while you're progressing, why not just do it and let it play its role through all of that? So in that state of condition and having this in you, and how did you produce this while you were in it, or did you wait, or how did you evolve into bringing that change and not letting it not just stagnate while you're...
I think for me it's having a vision.
Okay.
I mean, if you don't have a vision for your life, and if you don't have a commitment to the vision, because a lot of people have vision.
Yes.
They have dreams, ideas, and goals, but they don't have commitment. Because real commitment is not contingent on anything.
Yes.
So when you commit to the dream, when you understand that nothing changes until you do. You know, there's a saying that says if you wait for perfect conditions, you'll never do nothing.
That's
right.
Yes.
So the only time you're ever going to have is now. If you can't be great now, if you can't confront yourself now, if you can't be bold now, if you can't be courageous now, if you can't be determined now, there's no then. Because we go from now to now.
Yeah.
And so when we understand that, then we begin to take control of our lives. Because until then, you're going to live from circumstances, and everybody has them.
Yes.
But great people that live meaningful lives, do not allow a circumstance to determine their evolution. And that's a choice that people have to learn how to make.
And when you make that choice to change, you will change. It will. And I like this because we talk about preparing for the emergence of a new humanity. And even if you look at your own humanity, that brings that change. That brings make a whole. So let me ask you, so was you inspired to write this as you was experiencing, or after the experience, or was it before the experience?
It was after.
Okay.
I mean, I had this idea for a book on human nature like years ago.
Okay.
But I really had I don't think I had a real intention to write it. I've always just been fascinated by human nature. So I wasn't trying to write the book while I was having my experiences, because some things you have to live through. I think one of the things for this generation that we're in, this age, is we have a lot of people who are giving out a lot of concepts, but they don't have the concrete because they ain't been to the conflict. I can Google anything and sound like an expert.
Absolutely.
But the real challenge is, how do I handle when my back is against the wall, I don't have any money, I don't have a job, my friends don't understand, and my dream keeps calling me forward? See, that is what makes greatness.
Yes.
See, you can't just be great when you get... See, there's a difference between greatness and renownedness. A lot of folk are renowned, but the first time they have a hardship, they break.
That is so true.
So, great people who have a sustained greatness, people who evolve and keep evolving, they make a decision about how they're going to live their lives. And they make the decision independent of their circumstances, because those are going to come and go.
Yes.
Those are going to come and go. But once you start evolving,
Yes.
you don't have to keep going back to the same old thing. It's not if you see, one of my friends said, you either evolve or you either revolve.
Yeah.
So you ask yourself, this time last year, where were you? How were you? What were you? If you can't say that I'm better, I'm different, I'm more, then you have the question, do you have intention behind your life?
And that's something I can even, let me share a little bit about me, because, what was it, 3 years ago, about 3 years, maybe now, having a divorce or going through a divorce was very devastating. Felt like death, you know, and I, to a point, felt like I was revolving, like, you know, because you had this beautiful life, and then all of a sudden, you know, you think you thought it was evolving. However, you find yourself revolving. It feels like it. But sometimes circumstances can cause evolving, okay? And I was just to a place where I didn't know what I was going to do. And I felt stuck, you know. But I never took my eyes, even through all the hurt pains that we go through a divorce, you know, my intentions wasn't going to stay there. I wasn't going to stay in that state. Didn't want to stay there. And probably a lot of you can, you know, attest to this. But a lot of times, if we're not careful, we will we can get stuck there.
Here's the thing, right? When you're stagnant, when you're stuck, feel like you're going in circles. When you can't go forward, you have to go inward.
That's what I mean.
So if you don't go inward, you're going to feel awkward.
Come on.
And then the more you feel awkward, you're going to start going backwards. So when you're going through evolution, you have to change your sense of direction.
Yes. I get to do that.
You know, forward is not the only way to go.
Right.
Most people who go forward, they go inward first.
Yes.
That's why if you're going to change your life, it's not about making a decision. It's about getting a disposition.
Right.
It's about getting a mindset for the thing that you're going to go into. Because you can change your circle, you can change your clothes, but it doesn't change your nature.
Right. Go ahead.
So evolution is about really having a born-again experience on a continual basis. Not just once, not just a new set of clothes, but a new set of emotions. How I respond to what I would have fallen apart about last year. This year I look at it, I take a deep breath and say, okay, been here before.
Yeah. And that's what I had to come to, because that inner part of me, I had to search my beliefs. My belief was my inner part that I had to search about me, about religion, about anything, everything. And so doing that inner search and that inner healing for myself helped me to evolve into becoming what I am, as I say today. Because I'm not in the same position, y'all. I'm in a better position because me, and still to this day, still do an inner search about my perspective and what was taught and trained to me, and how did I play in the role of manifesting those roles, those thoughts, and how they became evidence in my life. So I had to change how the inner being in order to get a different evidence out of the manifestations of it. And so, and I'm glad, because that's the emergence of that new humanity of me, my thinking.
It's an awakening. It's an awakening.
Yes. And so, your awakening experience, how was that for you? Along with writing this, that you awakened more, for sure? Or?
Well, I mean, it's like I stepped into a dimension that I knew existed, but I didn't know how to get there. And so life gave me the experiences that allowed me to adopt a perspective. Because if I try to get to a dimension but don't have the disposition, I'll get kicked out. Because I'm not on that level. It's like going into a room where you can get in the room, but can you stay in the room? Do you have what it takes to stay in that room? So for me, my evolution is still ongoing.
Yes.
I mean, I couldn't have written that book 5 years ago because I was not the person I am today. So what I do, no matter what I go through in my life, I try to be proactive, I try to be optimistic, and I try to not surrender my identity. Because you talk about your self-image. Marriage, wife, now divorcee. That's an identity destruction. You're no longer Mrs. Now you're your image.
Yes.
Who are you now without that label? So you had to create a new identity, and whenever you change your identity, you can't help but affect your destiny. Not just your end, but your interim. Because people think that destiny is destination. Destiny and destination are different. And so when we go through transitions, when we go through hardships, when we go through blessings, or we go through prosperity and pleasure and ease, because I'm going to tell you something, life is not all hardship.
Yeah.
If you've been raised in any kind of religion, basically you know hardship. You got a theology of difficulty. You got a philosophy of difficulty. And we know that life can be what it is. But if your life is not pleasurable, enjoyable, agreeable, maybe sometimes unspeakable joy,
come on,
not based on a circumstance, but based on a perspective. And so my evolution is still evolving. Every day I evolve. Every day I have an opportunity to choose to mature or digress.
You said something, because as I am still evolving and learning, we know love is the ground, the unconditional love. Love can change anything and make a difference. But what I really found out, but everybody haven't experienced love to grasp that love. Okay, so they can't respond to that love.
Right.
Okay, but everybody has been happy in some form or fashion, or they've done something happy that made them feel good. And so come to find out, I found out in my evolving, and also that happiness, because everybody can participate in happiness, is the most greatest of love. It's because you can exploit happiness, and the thing about happiness, it does manifest and it evolves you quicker than me trying to love you and you can't receive that, but I can say something to make you laugh or show you something to make you laugh.
So you're talking about shifting somebody's emotional state.
Yes.
So how do you go from state to state? And then how do you know when you're crossing that state line?
Yes.
When you go from North Carolina, you go down to 77, and you get further, it's going to say, welcome to South, you cross the state line. And it's different in South Carolina.
Yes, it is.
You go further, you got other states, so it's about being able to shift your emotional state and not needing something external to shift your state. When I am present to my emotions, and they're not like, I'm not feeling good, I'm kind of lethargic, I'm kind of beginning to feel down. I was like, okay, Joel, what is it that you are concluding? Because I know if I'm feeling something, and that feeling's pronounced, then I'm concluding something. So I have to assess, so the way you evolve, you have got to be present to your emotions. And then once you look at those emotions, ask yourself, what are those emotions making a conclusion about? And let me say this, there is not stuff in your subconscious. That's the biggest farce that has come out of depth psychology. That everything that's important about my life is unconscious. No, it's conscious. I don't want to confront it. I don't want to. When I was working this last corporate job I had before I quit 20 years ago, I wanted that company to fire me because I was afraid to quit. Because I had a family and all that stuff.
And that sounds like people who are in situations want to leave or want to make a change and afraid.
Well, it's the fear of the unknown. And it's not so much the fear of unknown. I like to say it this way. People want a guarantee of certainty. If people want a guarantee, that's why when you buy something, they give you a money back guarantee. They make you feel good about the purchase. Well, in life, when you're going through evolution, you have to be able to exist in a state of ambiguity and anxiety. Or maybe ambiguity, but not anxiety. Because even anxiety is a choice. Ambiguity means I have mixed emotions, or I'm ambivalent. Things are not clear, so I'm ambiguous, but I don't have to be anxious. And so those are the kind of things that I try to do every day. Is say, Joel, how are you feeling? What are you looking at? And then I just use my own free will to select from my environment what makes me feel good. I don't watch the news. I don't watch a bunch of tragedy. I don't watch a lot of things that don't produce joy. I can cut off the TV.
Yes.
I can not scroll through my phone and fuss about what I'm looking at. I can cut it off.
Yes.
And I think if people take more responsibility, I feel like this. I feel like we have a generation, and I'm not talking about young people, I'm talking about this age we're in.
Yeah.
We have an age of people who don't want to take responsibility for how they feel.
Absolutely.
They want to blame
Always
everything
wanna
outside of them, and when you blame something else, you can't change yourself.
Yeah.
So I just think I think evolution is just saying, you know what, this is my life, and I don't like it, and I want to change it. And I'm not going to change it overnight,
Yes.
but I'm going to make small changes every day, and I'm going to celebrate
Yes.
my success.
Little successes.
And that's important.
Yes, it is. And that comes to the meditation part, is that you could go within that time, get that time to yourself, and be quiet and listen to yourself and talk to yourself. Have that conversation, you and I, and go into that inner place, because as long as, like you said, we look at the outside or allow the outside to determine our happiness or our love or our joy or our success, then you're having you're going to have inner struggle. You have an inner struggle with you, and then it's going to display out in your outer, and you're going to see your struggles. Everything, if you go and look at your situation, it is from the inner struggle. And you say, gosh, why am I struggling? Because it's an inner struggle letting you know, pay attention, pay attention. And so the external of you is showing you the internal of you. So meditation on being intuitive to and aware and in the present moment of where you're feeling, and listen, like you said, accept that feeling and acknowledge that feeling, that it is yours and nobody else making you feel this way but you, then you will evolve. You will see those little successes and celebrating yourself in those little successes and the big successes as well. So wow. So I bet you when you wrote this book, I know it was for yourself, that inner part self, but then I know the greater purpose was
to awaken people that there is. First of all, let me say this, because this is so important. This is the fundamental premise of the book, and it says, I argue or I assert that human nature is corrigible. It can be changed.
yes.
And every system we have in society, in this book I talk about, first chapter I describe the new being, what that being's characteristics are. The second chapter I talk about race and the new being. Then I talk about religion and the new being, politics and the new being. Then volume 2 I talk about education and the new being, economics and the new being. In the last chapter, well, I'm going to add another chapter, but the other chapter is morality and the new being. So all of our systems are constructed on the premise that human nature is, not only is it incorrigible, it's depraved and deprived. And we borrowed that judgment from religion, right?
Yeah.
And so if I believe that human nature is inherently deprived and depraved and incorrigible, I'm going to have a society that's designed to prevent crime, not promote growth,
That's
not
true.
promote community.
Yes.
I'm going to talk about it, but what gets me is people say, well, human nature is depraved or it's incorrigible, but then you ask that person, okay, are you a human? Yes. Do you have human nature? Yes. Are you depraved? Nobody's going to claim that they're depraved or incorrigible, so then how can human nature be? So we have to understand that human nature is simply reflecting what we call for from it, what our society and our systems reinforce.
Yes.
Until we change what we think about human beings, we cannot change our systems. We're just putting band-aids over a bleed that won't stop.
Yes.
So for me, that's what I think it has to happen, is that we have to change our conversation about human nature. Religion, Christianity, they call it the born-again experience.
Yes.
That we are new creatures. The title for this book actually came from there's a great American theologian, came from Germany, and his name is Paul Tillich.
Okay.
And he actually has a book called The New Being.
Wow.
And I knew about the book, but I never read it because
Yeah.
I did, cause I was gonna, I kind of like, when this book hit me, it's like, oh, go get Paul Tillich's book. I'm like, no, I don't want to know what Paul Tillich said. But the premise is this, is that not only is human nature corrigible, can be corrected, can be changed, we can change our society.
And I really believe that. I always believe that. You know, as a person told me, you're just one drop of water in a whole big system, and there's nothing you can do. I said, you ever looked at a drip in what it does to a pond? One drop, you see the waves, wave out, wave out, wave out. So my one drop is effective.
But that person that said that, and people who think that way, they have deficit thinking.
Yes.
See, when you go inward, and you meditate, and you do all of that, but if you do that from a deficit perspective, you're gonna come out of meditation and come out of that quiet time not feeling empowered.
No.
Because you're still thinking from your circumstance, you're still thinking from your limitation, you're still thinking from these unconscious narratives that you've encoded and that you are replaying, and you think it's you.
Yes.
So you've got to know how to be generous and frivolous with yourself.
Yes.
I mean, generous and bounteous and benevolent. Talk about love. Most people don't really love themselves. And if you're in religion, you know, it says love your neighbor as yourself. What you hear is love my neighbor more than myself.
Absolutely, that's how we interpret it.
So until we can practice, like when I started practicing radical self-love, meaning root self-love of Joel, I don't judge Joel.
Okay.
And when I do, I'm like, hey, you judging? I don't guilt trip Joel.
Okay.
I had to change all those scripts. I had to scrap those scripts in order to be who I am. And so for me, I just think that we need a new narrative.
Yes,
we need a new cultural narrative to anchor society. Because if we don't do that, if we don't have an awakening and an awareness and an expansion, this society that we have now, it's not sustainable.
No, it's not.
The course we're on is not sustainable. And so I think it's just important that each of us, number one, own your power. When you look at history, history's always been changed by one person.
That's it.
That person started it and it became a movement. You got to know how to take a moment. Just like the George Floyd. That moment has become a movement.
Oh, yes,
not just in America, but around the world.
Around the world.
So you can't allow another person who's coming from a place of deficit and deficiency and low self-esteem and tell you what you can't do.
Absolutely. And then see, that's because I get upset. You tell me what I can't do because I know the power I possess on the inside. That, you know, it's just, you argue somebody down. They say, you going to hold your grip. I sure am. When I know the power that, I know that inner power, that what, you know, I always just, you know, pastor the church, and my thing was just send me one. That one ripple will take the effect, and it'll spread real quick than a multitude.
And what power is capacity. This cup, if I got a 2-gallon jug and I got a 7-ounce cup, it has limited capacity.
Right.
I can't even pour it all in this cup that it can hold.
That's it.
Well, human beings, human nature can't be quantified. They can't be measured.
No.
So every human being, no matter their circumstance, everybody has a capacity for immensity.
Thank you.
Because if this is human nature, and it's 7 ounces, and I've got 2 gallons, let's say I don't have any gallons, now I've got a hose hooked up to the ocean.
Come on.
The more water I pour in, the more this cup expands to contain, not only to contain, because what's the use of pouring this thing in here, and every time I pour it out, it's holes in the bottom. And when you have a low self-esteem, you can't encourage a person with low self-esteem.
No, you can't.
Because you encourage them at 5 o'clock, it's 5:30, they're going to be down again.
Yes, it is.
You encourage them at 6 o'clock, they're going to be depressed again at 6:15. Because they have holes in them, because they believe the lie of somebody who said, you are unable, you are unable, you are inadequate, you're not capable.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's very important that we understand that you and I, not only do we have a capacity for immensity, I also talk about in the book, We have dormant
Yes.
endowments
Okay.
and dormant dimensions.
Okay.
We have abilities, faculties, qualities, propensities, aptitudes, inclinations that have not even awakened yet.
Yeah.
And a scientist will tell you we have chromosomes
Yeah.
that have not even been turned on yet. They don't even know what they do because we haven't gotten the proper sequence of the evolutionary cycle to awaken those chromosomes.
That's true.
So you have dormant endowments, then you have dormant dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
That's like having rooms in your house. You got all this stuff packed in 3 rooms, but you didn't know you got 10 other rooms in the back.
Uh-oh.
Those dimensions, those rooms are being unused.
Mm-hmm.
Not only being unused, you live in cramped quarters.
Yes.
Because nobody told you that you have dormant endowments and you have dormant dimensions that will awaken in this new millennium.
Yeah.
Because in the new millennium, you're going to either expand, contract, or you will be tolerated for a while. But ultimately, we're in the age of expansion.
Yes, we are.
And we have to begin to embrace a new narrative. First, not say human nature, make it personal.
Yes.
Like if you do an honest assessment of yourself, how do I feel about myself? And then you ask yourself, what are the factors that influence my feelings? And you know in America, it's the job, the money, the car, the house, the girl, the status, the stuff.
Yes, it is.
So if you measure yourself by those externals, you will not have the kind of esteem that will allow you to embrace your capacity for immensity. And you'll live a life and forget trying to fulfill your potential, which I think is stupid. You can't forget trying to fulfill. I'm not trying to fulfill my potential because number one, I don't know how much potential I got.
Come on.
Like I know I got like $10 in my wallet. Okay. So I know I can't buy anything over $10.
Right.
And probably $9 because of tax.
Yeah.
But when it comes to my potential, that can't be quantified. So rather than trying to fulfill your potential, set goals.
Yes.
That is a more practical way. Set a goal.
Yes.
Fulfill that goal, then set another goal.
Yes.
And you may begin by setting goals that you know you can hit, if you need to do that to get your confidence built up. But then begin to set bigger goals that cause you to stretch a little bit.
Yes.
Because what will happen, you will begin to tap into, you'll start feeling a running on the inside. You'll start feeling gifts stirring over.
Yes,
you have. So if we don't have this kind of conversation, and we're not doing that to one another, and we're not stirring up one another's gifts, and we're not calling for one another's greatness, then we by default contribute to the contraction of our culture. That's what happens.
And we have. And not always challenging things outside of us. But what about challenging the things inside? You challenge yourself. You have a great immensity of excitement, joy. And like you said, writing out those goals, those plans and strategies are that challenge to myself, not no one else. So even if I don't do those challenges or challenge myself in making those steps and going forward, then who do I have to blame?
But let me say this, because the chapter I'm going to add in the second volume, I'm going to do a chapter called Language in Human Nature. Because the words we use to describe our reality, the words we use to describe our experiences, they color our reality. So challenge yourself, but don't chasten yourself.
That's what. That's
because when you chasten something, you narrow the frame of reference. It's like a water hose, and you bend it.
Yeah.
And you might get a little drip. So chastening. When you chasten yourself, when you talk, and I can tell you from experience, I was a master abuser of myself. Yeah. Bitter, bellicose, brutal self-talk. So when I mess up, I don't say it's my fault. I don't say it's blame. Yeah. I said, that's not a good choice. That wasn't the best choice, Joel. Yeah. Why say fault? Because fault reinforces deficiencies. And I know y'all can say, oh, well, the Bible says, confess your faults one to another. Pray. I understand all of that, but you got to understand the people that were writing from the worldview that they had.
Absolutely.
So I don't say fault. Even psychologists tell you the words you use to describe it, and when you talk, if you can get hooked up to these EKGs, these things in your brain with neuroscience, and a person say one word to you that's negative, and another is positive, do you know the regions of the brain that lights up, it shows that? It shows that effect. My plants, I have 3 plants, but I have really 2 that I really love, these hanging baskets in the kitchen. When I bought these plants, they weren't even hanging over the side. My vision in life was I want to have these 2 plants in the kitchen. I want them to just hang because my mother had them. So I bought these 2 plants and they just hung. They weren't even hanging over the side. And every day I go in the kitchen looking good, looking good, looking good. I encourage my plants. I give my plants 5. I hug them. I talk to them. And man, those plants have grown so, and they're all up on the table. They have intertwined.
Well, that shows the connection, brainwave connection, and the energy connection that we have with life.
And words carry life. Words carry life, and words carry life.
Yes.
See, all sound is light slowed down, and it's audible. We have this thing out here that's sympathetic. So that's all. So words are important. Yes. And when I describe human nature as, you know, corrupt, you know, it's wicked.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something.
We throwing that out there.
If everybody acted out the description of human nature, there's not enough police forces in the world to contain human beings.
I'll be in jail. I'll be with you.
So nature. When I think about human nature, I just think about a piece of clay, and I can take that clay, and I can make an ashtray, or I can make a flower vase. You know, so human nature is what we choose to make out of. That's what human nature. That's how I see human nature.
Yes. Okay, you all. I know we. Let's see. So it looks like we're gonna.
Just keep going.
Yeah. So y'all know that is true. And I was gonna talk about, you know, we was talking about you know, having that like you said. The
capacity for immensity.
I was thinking about when we was talking about the brain, and I was thinking about the full consciousness. We hadn't even wakened those chromosomes, but there's parts of the brains we haven't even tapped into. That's still smooth up there and haven't got no wrinkles. They say that's what makes us know that we've been part of that brain, and they still dissect it and find out what section of the brains have not been utilized and why they're there.
And not only that, we're still growing. There's something called neuroplasticity.
Yes.
We're still growing. We can still generate brain cells.
Yes.
Now you see it in children because they're learning. So the more they learn, the more branches just and axons just grow. So when you challenge your brain, you challenge yourself to learn something, you continue to expand. But here again, the brain and the mind and the consciousness are different. The brain is the organ. The mind is just a collection of experiences. It's not stored. It's not stored in the file cabinet. It's what you are able to access through recollection, reflection, and memory. You see, and then consciousness is your field of awareness. Like I know right now, the lights are on in this room, the air is on. I'm conscious. Now I know it's still daylight. I know the sun is out, but I'm not as conscious of what's going on outside because I have these walls cutting me off.
Absolutely.
You see?
Yes.
But if we can recognize and not, if we can begin to reject or to embrace, I prefer to say embrace possibility. Because I say we have the capacity for immensity, expansion, and transformation. Because let's face it, don't you get tired? Aren't you tired of being the same person?
Oh my Lord, I want to be.
I get tired of Joel.
I want to be.
I know what Joel thinks. I know what Joel knows. I know what Joel's going to do. So what Joel does, I put Joel in situations where he has to be unfamiliar. That's why I never speak with notes. I want to know what's going to come out at the moment. You see, and if I don't have self-trust, if I don't have confidence. And another way you get confidence in this capacity, you got to put in work.
That's true.
Because one of the things I see people, you know, like I always wonder, and I ain't get too far with this because I really like to talk about greatness, because this book is part self-help book and a part social critique. I wonder, like, what do people spend their time doing? What have you mastered?
That's good.
Like what, at 35 years old, at 40 years old, like what have you mastered? Like, what have you given yourself to? Not some little bubblegum degree from a university. That's not master. I have a master's degree.
Absolutely.
But don't mean I've mastered everything in liberal studies. But what have you given yourself to mastery of? Because when you master something, or when you develop some kind of competence,
yes,
and you move from competence to mastery, it changes how you move in the world. And it changes how people experience your presence.
it does.
You see.
Yeah.
And all that is available to us, if we will begin to understand that evolution, which is the natural side of the divine. It's not a thing about evolution and creationism, intelligent design. No, evolution is a natural part of the divine working through nature, working through organizations and organisms to bring about the change that we have to have in order for humanity not to self-destruct. Because it will self-destruct.
It will. And we're doing that just with ourselves. And like you said, it's evidence of the destruction that's taking place even in this time. And I think that even, we'll bring in here the pandemic. And everyone was so afraid. And it's funny, when you don't, like he said, when you don't have knowledge, you don't understand, you don't know what's going on, that fear does creep in with the unfamiliar. And, but then I've learned to talk to that unfamiliar and then say, okay, you're here, you're here. What am I to learn from this? How am I to expand in knowledge from this so that I can move with you and live with you? Because when we come knowledge of living with robbers, we know what we need to do, right? We know what to do. Mm-hmm. We know how to defend ourselves, protect ourselves, our homes, because we're no longer unfamiliar. So you learn to live with the circumstances, embrace it, but yet know how and learn how to modify yourself accordingly to protect yourself in that environment. So same thing with this pandemic. I think that it has caused an evolution. I think it has caused some people, evolving.
It has caused a dissolution. Because mental health.
Yes.
Poor mental health is increasing.
Yes.
Antidepressant prescriptions are increasing.
Yes.
Calls to hotlines are quintupling.
Yeah. Yes.
So, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
But
it just shows you how.
The thing is, do I have a fixed mindset, or do I have a growth mindset?
Yes.
Because I can't control the pandemic. No. I can't control the vaccine. I can't even control whether or not we really do have a pandemic. Depending on what you listen to, there's no pandemic. So when something happened that I can't control, the first thing I do is I go inward. Yes, I have that low level panic.
We do.
But I don't let it. I'm not panicking all day long.
All day.
I mean, short of a terminal diagnosis, I'm not panicking all day, and I'm not going to call on my panicky friends, and we have a panic party. We went from a pity party to a panic party. Yeah. I'm going to get information.
That's
it. They said wear gloves, wash your hands, and put on a mask.
That's it.
I'm not going to debate whether or not. I'm not going to debate that. If that gives me peace of mind, I'm going to do that.
I'm going to do that.
Because here again, people who handle and who prosper in these situations, they have a growth mindset.
That's right.
If I've never been in a situation before, of course I'm going to feel uncertain and it's going to be unfamiliar, but it doesn't mean that I can't learn to function in that environment.
We've learned how to function.
If I have a fixed mindset, I'm going to whine about, well, why didn't they tell us years ago? They said this pandemic was coming. Okay, but it's here now.
Yes, and then we come up with theories.
So when you
make ourselves feel comfortable.
When you have a growth mindset and expansion, you don't deal with regret. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, yesterday as a matter of fact, and she said, "So what's your biggest regret?" I said, "None." And you know, I could have said that like 5 years ago.
Wow.
I had a lot of regrets.
Yes.
A lot of regrets.
Yeah.
But as I have evolved, and not only have I've evolved, I've transcended.
Yes.
I can say right now, sitting here at this age, at this stage, and I see all the things that I did in my past that weren't the best, I don't have regrets. So since I don't have regrets, I also don't have any guilt.
Yes. I see.
And most people feel obligated to have regrets and guilt. Well, you know, I wasn't the best son.
But we say things because we think that's the norm to say, and you know, the adamant thing to say because that's what people want to hear, because they want you to feel like they feel.
Or
like
they tell you should be, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
No, I'm not. I mean, even to this day, you know, it being it, I just turned 54, y'all. So at this, even like you, I did been doing. We'll talk. You can look up what shadow work and go look at some of my videos about shadow work, dealing with those deep parts. And dealing with those deep parts, I come to realize, hey, that helped me get me where I am. All of that stuff, experiences, and we call failures, which I don't know what that is now anymore, and regrets, I don't even know what that is anymore. And I don't think you done.
It's the phone. She cut the phone. You're still on.
It's still on. Great. But we have to back it up. And it's not to go out too, because it's dark. But we're going to continue on here. But so I found that to be true with me as well, is that even what I do, even into this new Lisa, evolving Lisa, expansion Lisa, I don't regret anything. I look at it as a learning experience, evolving experience, and I learned to laugh at me. I learned to laugh and have fun with what I'm doing. And that's when you know you really now are not living outside of your means of everyone else. Not even, we come so, and it's okay to be dependent, I like to call supporters, but we could call our supporters become so dependent that we won't move and do what we need to do because we need them. Codependent. Yeah, I found that codependent, that I can move without you and do without you, and then when you're ready to come on the scene, then you come on. But I'm going to start and I'm going to continue, you know, and we become so dependent on others and looking on outside to move forward in what we need to do. So I'm glad with this book. Volume 1, we got volume 2 coming out. Now I'm gonna read that again because that's exactly how that just kind of vary. It just lined up with what we talked about on today, and I'm gonna read. I gotta put my glasses on because I evolve. Evolution fails until we confront ourselves and the need to change. And again, that's coming from the author of Dr. Joel Bryant, okay, The New Being, Preparing for the Emergence of a New Humanity. And this is volume 1, so I'm looking forward to volume 2. It's exciting, but we're going to put a description, a link where you can go and purchase this volume and keep up with Joel Bryant. He does other things besides a writer. And so you want to tell them some other things that you do?
I also do life coaching. I ghostwrite books of other people. I publish books for other people. I also edit. So anything that has to do with the written word or helping you to get your dreams and goals, that's what I've been put on this planet to do. And so, you know, and you can go to my website. You can kind of see the things I do. But
so we'll put that link there, okay? So you can go and get involved. Get with someone like Joel Bryant, myself, and others that you may come in contact to know and love to know, to grow with, and pursue yourself, chasing yourself, and aim for the ultimate you on this earth, on this side, so that when you do transition over, you'll be proud to look down and see yourself doing this. And so, you know, Mr. Bryant, thank you for coming
Thank you for having
on
me.
prayer and meditation. We call it prophetic phrase and prayer meditation. And we thank you because it hopefully this, and I encourage that this will bring people into that place where when they are meditating, when they are, when I say pray, y'all know what we mean by praying, meaning affirmations, right? Okay, prayer, affirmations, and that you are affirming and pursuing those affirmations, and you need someone like Joel Bryant in your corner to help support you. If you need that encouraging tool, here's the tool. All right, and but we do thank you for coming on and being here with me, Apostle Lisa Davis, Lisa Gray's World. Apostle Lisa Gray, people still calling me Davis. Some people know me as Davis. That's all right. I am all over. I am unlimited. I tell myself I'm three-dimensional, multi-dimensional. So I am what I am, and whatever you call me, I'm an answer to, even that word too. So. So it was a joy having you here, and hopefully we'll have you come back and do volume 2, and maybe just do some other stuff we could, and help the people here that are channeled in through Spiritual Walkers YouTube channel. Please remember to hit that subscription button, subscribe, and make sure you hit that like button. Okay, and begin to please know, you better share it. But share this video, share it, subscribe, view, share. Say it with me, subscribe, view, and share it. And so that others can see it and be enlightened as you are being enlightened on today through prayer and meditation, which is Spiritual Walkers. Okay, Spiritual Walkers? Again, this is Apostle Lisa Grace. Welcome to my world. Thank you for allowing me to be in your world. And we're so happy and so excited about your emergence. Oh, to a new humanity, baby. Know that I love you and know that I want to be you. Goodbye.